Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Oh, it's the pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, chat. I hope you're well. This is episode 131 of Double Feature Horror Show, and we have the privilege this week to be covering Stuart Gordon's Dolls from 1987. This is a member request, and I always like doing them. We've had some really interesting ones where there have been films that I've never seen before, or films I haven't looked at in ages, and I've really enjoyed watching over. So the one that comes to mind is when we went back over, I immediately forget its name, Ravenous, and just, I hadn't seen that in a decade, and the amount we got out of it on the rewatch was absolutely brilliant. So always a bit of a pleasure to do this. And oh yes, hello. Who on earth could have requested this one? I will leave chat perusers to make their own guess. I'll be honest, on this one, I did not take much persuading. We are Stuart Gordon appreciators on this channel. Not only for his sort of good vibes 80s horror, but also the man has a fascination with Lovecraft that I'm sure you know I can appreciate. Now, before I go any further, I'll be introducing my guest, Murgoot. Good Caesar.
Good afternoon, good evening, chat. Hello, Proper. Thank you for having me on.
A pleasure as always. And did you enjoy having a break from anthologies?
Thanksgiving was excellent. I thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Well, I wanted you back, and I thought it's not an anthology show this week because loads of people were obviously spending good time with their family, which we approve. We appreciate this. And I thought, come on back for Dolls. Go on. We'll have another one.
Stuart Gordon's always worth watching. Whether it's his horror is excellent, even his path into Disney films with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is hilarious. And one of my all-time favorite grade Z sci-fi Space Truckers with Dennis Hopper is right up there with favorite. If it's on, I must watch it.
Old school cheese. I'm trying to think if I've got one like that is just, there's one with Lance Henriksen and Ian McNeice. And I've seen that a bunch of times, and it's madness, and I can't remember what it is, but it was glorious schlocky sci-fi on the space trucker level.
Oof.
Oh, Adam loves horror. Yes. For people who weren't around last week for the Goosebumps show, we took about an hour and 8 minutes to get to Goosebumps. Entirely unintended, but I think we just had a momentum away from anything other than the topic, and then it became kind of funny, so we just dodged it. Only semi-deliberately, and we still finished on time. We did not face the wrath of Super Nanny last week, so we did very well. We do not have a DCG this week. I'm afraid he heard that I was going to introduce him with Mariah Carey, and he got out of there. Yeah, he thought introducing him last week with the theme from Dawson's Creek was taking it too far already. And the man has standards. What can I say? So we do not have TCG this week, but we'll hopefully see him back. However, I can hand you off after this stream to another friend of the channel, Harrian. He is doing a stream immediately after this on, let me see, Doctor Who Special. Doctor Who is Special. Bloody hell, do they teach these Zoomers anything? He's only out of school like 5 minutes ago. He's forgotten all his grammar. The state of that lad. Honestly. Absolute wastrel. Well, anyway, go over to Harrian after this and tell him his grammar needs some work. But
I think it's more Doctor Who is special.
Oh, that kind of special. Yeah. Yeah, might be. I mean,
yeah, he can't use certain words in YouTube titling.
No. I like the title he gave it though. That did crack me up. Oh gosh. Yes. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to try a little harder than last week to get onto the topic. However, folks, I did promise you a game. And I thought we'd road test that just before we go and discuss Stuart Gordon's Dolls from 1987. And I thought, you like it when we play a little game. So we're going to debut this. It should work. Let's try Only Correct. There may be BBC appreciators in this chat. If you know Only Connect, do let me know. I've set the latency very low on this, so hopefully it goes quite smoothly. But I'm hoping a bunch of you are aware of this game show. But for those of you who aren't, yes, anyone not British in the chat is going to be very confused. Waifu, very confused. I will go over the rules. Basically, it's a game show about finding interesting connections. And the quicker you can find out the connections, which can be somewhat obscure in places, the higher you score. Of course, we're only doing kudos in this one, not actual points. When we have a couple of teams on here, we'll do points. Murgoot, I got you to watch an episode. Oh, I should maybe put us to the side so we can see the whole thing. There we go. This is copyright safe, by the way. Murgoot, you watched a couple of episodes. You watched a episode. How did you find it? How would you describe it to chat?
Very interesting. Finding the connections or anagrams or acronyms. It's point blank, I suck. But it is interesting. And I watched season 13, episode 1, and the contestants knew exactly what they were doing. So
yeah, the contestants can be a bit special, but I know you struggle with it, but don't worry. You've got chat to help you, right? Oh, this is a good suggestion. Yes. JFC with the pretty impressive British reference there for I believe you're Canadian, aren't you, JFC? Ah, well done. Nice Brit reference. We're Brit posting tonight. Okay. So I thought we'd give it a go. This could be a complete disaster, but could it be worse than the Golden Ball stream? I don't think so. So let's see. Dollface asking, is it going to be films that have titles that imply finality but actually are long franchises? That's an interesting guess. You've got the idea, Dollface. You've got the idea. Gotta guess those connections. All right. Now, oh, hang on. I've remembered something that goes wrong on this. If I go in and change a thing, is it going to update? No. Why do I forget this every single time? Okay.
why, thank you, JFC. I am not Jimmy Carr.
Oh, you're not going to go for it. All right. Ah, right. I'm going to have to do this the other way. This will work. I forget every time. I cannot. Darn it, StreamYard. How are you going to do me like this? Shocking. All right, let's go for it. All right, I'm going to have to just... How do I do this? Forgive me, chat. Right. This should work. Is this going to work? I don't know. I shouldn't keep you in suspense. I'm just going to share the screen and... Does that work? That looks like it's working. I think we can get away with that one. All right, so we're going to do round one. Okay. Round one, it's going to be fine. And I'll shill after this. Because you'll love this. Okay, round one, Final Destination. I'll let you get a clue before we go further. Oh.
More
And
than
Murgoot
5 sequels?
let you be... Oh, sorry. I will let you be the boss of when an extra clue comes out.
Okay.
Maybe I'll look at chat as well. I'll basically make this up as I go to see what works.
Okay.
I'm looking for guesses. Any guesses at 2 clues? Final Destination and Wishmaster.
Well... Come on, chat.
Yeah, chat. Come on, I risked my computer blowing up by setting the latency low. What are you doing? Shocking state of affairs. The lack of responses. We got a guess for bad films. I'm half hurt. I'm half hurt. I'm not going to defend Wishmaster. It's a very... I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure. Okay.
The first one is a lot of fun. The second one is garbage.
We got a guess from Essie Remain Curses. No. Oh. Hey. Yes. Tony Todd. Tony Todd is correct. Dollface. Well done. At 2 clues. Well done. I'm impressed. Yes. That was a little harsh. Night of the Living Dead 1990, but there we go. And Patrick Batman, yes, you can see the inspiration for my copyright safe amendment. All right, let's try this. Let's try. Is this the next slide? If I should have road tested this. Yay! There we go. It does work. Sorry. I've been called out. I didn't let you finish guessing. All right. Murgoot, the first one there, Unfriended, Dark Web.
Let's see. Similar film, same year release.
Oh, which one are you thinking of?
Unfriended and Dark Web. Oh, wait a minute. That's this. Okay.
It's a sequel.
Thinking, yeah. Oh.
Would you like the second clue?
Cat.
All right.
Let's take a clue, yeah. Second sequel or first sequel?
Not quite it. It's a little more obscure than that.
Okay. Third clue?
All right. Third clue. This is a bit of an evil one, actually, by the way.
Oh.
We got a guess from Webcam Horror. I'm going to chat. Now that you've seen Saw 2 and Zombie Flesh Eaters, I'm blooming impressed someone got the Tony Todd connection on too. This is a harsher one. This is a lot more specific.
Fourth clue.
All right, fourth clue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was a good guess. Eye injury, but it is not correct. That is definitely true for Saw 2 and zombie flesh eaters. I'm trying to remember if any eyes were injured in Unfriended Dark Web, and I'm coming a blank. Okay, so American Psycho 2.
Oh. Same actress. What is her name? Oh. I give up. Let's go for the answer.
All right. I don't blame you. This is harsh. This is a very harsh one. But you saw Only Connect. You know the level. Oh, Adam Loves Horror is close. You're kind of close to the answer there.
And yes, JFC, there is an American Psycho 2, and it's horrible.
Yep. Doesn't it have oh gosh, William Shatner in?
I believe so. I've tried to forget that one. It has none of the charm and all of the bad parts of American Psycho.
This is close. All right, I'm wary of doing another Goosebump stream, so I'll give you the answer to this one. These are sequels that were originally unrelated to the original.
Okay.
So, Unfriended Dark Web was made completely unrelated to the original Unfriended, and was converted in post-production, and just had the title slapped on. Saw 2 was originally a completely different script that they just adapted into a Saw movie, and it sort of got the job for Darren Lynn Bursman, who ended up on the series for I think the next 5 films. Zombie Flesh Eaters was released in Italy as Zombie 2, aka the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which in Italy was Zombie. And American Psycho 2 was originally produced utterly unrelated to American Psycho, and connected to it with the addition of a couple of scenes with someone very blurrily wearing a mask pretending to be Patrick Bateman. That was evil. That was a harsh one. We'll go on to the third. This one, I'll try and avoid clues. This one isn't as harsh, so I'll give you the first one there. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I'll give you the option of a second clue.
Yeah,
23 people here watching me rip off a BBC game show. I love it.
Oh.
Freddy versus Jason.
Well, they are sequels.
We have an early guess from from Adam Loves Horror that it's Kevin Williamson. It is not Kevin Williamson, although he did indeed. Did he actually write I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? I'm not sure he did. I rewatched that recently. It was abominable. Jeffrey Combs was in it, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he was having a gay old time. Hello, Slim. Good to see you in the chat. So 2 on there. Do you want another clue?
Certainly.
All right, we're going to go for that third clue. Seed of Chucky. Oh, look, we're getting approved of here. Absolutely. Thank you, JFC. We are indeed better than the BBC.
Oh. Let's see.
We've got a guess of 2004. It's a year of production. Not bad. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer was, I think, 1999 or 98. So I think both Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer ended up with sequels made 1 year later. Kevin Williamson, he was a busy man back in the late 90s. Any guesses?
Not off the top of my head.
Would you like the final clue?
Let's go for it.
We got a guess from Sir Garnet. Oh, it's fun when you recognise someone's name from a good stream. Whammons Hour appreciator. Good to see you. Oh, we do miss Whammons Hour around here. I will give. We have a guess of masks. No, not that. All right, last clue. Prince of Darkness. It is not movies with more than one killer. Although, actually, I see how that's actually a good guess. I see what you mean.
Alice Cooper?
Is very relevant to the answer. Guess of demonic children. I see where you're going. That's not quite it, Essie. Murgoot's note about Alice Cooper is very important to working it out. I wrote this for TCG, actually. I thought he'd go for it quickly. I was appealing to his knowledge.
Is it soundtrack?
It's not the soundtrack. I'm just going to give chat a little bit longer to get it. And then realizing resurrecting. No. Not quite. I think I might just give it to you, chat. This was maybe harder than I thought. Okay. The thing they've all got in common, the only correct, is there we go. Wait, hang on. Someone got it. Yes, Brundlefly. Dude, you got it. Yes. That was it. They all star famous musicians. Yes. So Alice Cooper in Prince of Darkness. Does anyone know who actually, chat, do you want to name the famous musicians who are in each of these films? I realise Seed of Chucky will be probably Brits only. But well done, Brundlefly. You got it, man. Anyone know I Still Know What You Did Last Summer?
Star and/or cameo, JFC.
Oh, starred in. Major role. But I'll tell you what, I'll just go through it. I know TCG would have been all over this. So this, don't feel shamed. I just wrote it specifically for his musical knowledge. So I Still Know What You Did Last Summer had Brandy in. Brundlefly is correct. Kelly Rowland was in Freddy vs. Jason. And Seed of Chucky starred S Club 7 alumni Hannah Spirit. I'm sure we all have a deep memory of Seed of Chucky. Maybe not. All right. Last one. I could have totally done, Adam Loves Horror. I could have totally done Halloween Resurrection. I had a couple. I was tempted by The Faculty for Usher, but I went off it. I thought I'd get some variety.
Could have gone with Leprechaun in the Hood with T.
I think we should watch that one day, man. I think we should do it. I think we should just hop on and do a live commentary for it.
God awful. So bad it's good.
We'll just pop it on, live commentary, see what happens. All right, last one, guys. Last one. Murgoot, how much are you hating me for this one?
I'm having fun. Let's just say that.
Oh, good. All right, folks. So this, I've switched it up a little bit. This is in the style of, I think, round 2, where you've still got to get the connection, but you've got to complete the sequence. I also may have forgotten the rules, and I'll see if Waifu corrects me, because she knows it better than I do. So, as ever, the fewer clues you need, the more points you get. The first one is The Exorcist.
William Blatty's The Exorcist.
And I appreciate that getting it off a single film
Linda
is
Blair.
absolute nonsense.
Let's go with clue number 2.
Very sensible indeed.
Shining or Halloween?
Yes, The Shining or Halloween are both exactly as good as a follow-up answer. This is I think quite typical of the kind of evil question you get on the original Only Connect, which is of course entirely separate from our own original quiz show here, Only Correct.
Surprise hits from the 70s?
No. So what you'd have to do is suggest something that would go in the fourth space.
Okay.
So the answer is not so much the connection, which you still have to work out, but you've got to complete the sequence and guess what is in the fourth space.
Okay.
I am going to work out how we can do the wall of clues round eventually. I realise this will make sense to not make much sense to people who haven't watched the show, but it's cool. It's cool. Just go with it.
Let's go with clue number 3.
I think that's fair. All right. The Candyman. I should specify the 1992 Candyman. We have a suggestion of The Grudge, which is not actually a bad answer. The Grudge, I believe, is an acceptable answer, but I'd be curious why. JFC, I'll have to ask you for your reason why The Grudge. But that is possibly correct. A guess of The Ring. Almost correct. Almost. I'm going to wait to see if people can give their reason for what they think it would be. I tell you what, I'll give you a clue related to the first two, okay? And the clue for the first one is 50. And the clue for the second suggestion here, The Shining or Halloween, is 39. So I'll see if anyone can work that out with those clues. The clue for Candyman is 29. I realise this is getting borderline esoteric, but that's kind of where I want this channel to be. So, Dollface, you are correct. We did talk about this topic in a previous stream. That's what inspired me to do this question. It's one of the many things we discussed last stream instead of talking about Goosebumps. I think Dollface has got it. So can anyone, if you've got it, Dollface, can you suggest what would go in number 4? Patrick Batman, Scream. No, Scream would not go in there. Tell you what, I'll give it one more minute because I think someone's going to suggest the correct answer pretty soon. Where are you on this, Murgoot? Do the numbers 50, 39, and 29 help you at all in working this out?
Not really.
Okay. All right, no worries. There are two examples which would be very obvious. We've got a guess of Nightmare on Elm Street and 1984. No, those are not correct. We're coming out to about 20.
Grudge in the Ring.
I mean, Grudge.
How close?
The Grudge is close. The Grudge is definitely close. Although I don't.
Dark Water?
No. All right. 6 seconds left for Dollface to get an answer. Yes, that is a correct answer. Dollface has given an acceptable answer. Yes, that will work. Tales from the Hood definitely works. And I'll give the answer now. The one we had in the my suggested answer was Psycho. And the relevant clue would be 23. But the reason Dollface has gone for Tales from the Hood, if I'm correct, is he's picked up the pattern here, which is horror films with a ridiculously long gap until their sequel.
Okay.
So this is kind of cheating. The Exorcist, 1973, had a sequel to it, ignoring the rest of the canon in The Exorcist Believer this year. The Shining and Halloween both had a sequel come out, a direct sequel come out 39 years later. Candyman had a sequel come out 29 years later from 1992 to 2021. And the one I went for that was longest was Psycho. So 23 years between Psycho in 1960 and Psycho 2, 1983. But Tales from the Hood, was that 18 years or more? I think it's more, isn't it? Actually, I think it was 1995 to 2018. So 2023? Is it also 23? Anyway, it's an impressive gap. So Tales from the Hood absolutely works. Well done. How many years between The Grudge and The Grudge 2? I'm not sure, but the original Grudge, I think, is mid-90s, and its canon is a bit messy, and I believe it got a direct sequel in the mid-2010s. So I would have accepted The Grudge for that reason. But yes, there we go. That is only correct. And I hope you enjoyed that somewhat bizarre affair. Do you forgive me?
I forgive you. Like I said, I suck.
No. It's hard though, isn't it? It's tough.
Yes.
I was trying to think of like weird connections. Because I think like the trivia is fun, but also I like that idea of like remembering weird little bits of things. So chat, people on the replay, if you want to see more only correct, let me know. You know, I'm very happy to fill half an hour of a stream with a game show. Maybe even try and make a terrible intro for it as well. Whew. Fancy more of that, Murgoot?
Yeah, we can try it. I'll have to get better at it.
I think if we get a few more people on, like we can do the teams and then get you a timer and do it just like almost exactly like, though in a copyright distinct manner from the original. It's like I'm thinking of Austin Powers 3 Gold Member and that bit about the thing that is like but contractually distinct from King Kong. Or was it Godzilla? How's that for a deep pull? Okay, I'm talking absolute nonsense. Let's discuss dolls.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Before I go any further, we should just do the shilling quickly. Quick shills. Murgoot, anything you'd like to share, sir?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Murgoot, and tomorrow I am guest hosting TCG's Friday community quiz, and which is at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 9 p.m. British Time. I'm trying to think anything else. Nope.
Well, short and sweet. Yeah, Murgoot covers a whole bunch of stuff. Very good follow on Twitter. And his Twitter is in the description of this video. We also still have TCG's links in there because, you know, we love TCG around here. As for my own shilling, well, you know what we do here. Please do support the stream. The YouTube algorithm will not show it to you unless you are engaging with it, really. Sorry to say so. Or the liking, subscribing if you aren't subscribed already. And leaving a comment is great, especially all you wonderful people watching on the replay who've somehow stuck around to 36 minutes in of me talking about anything other than dolls and wasting your time with a game show. Leaving a comment really helps. I've heard from people saying they just aren't seeing community notes or aren't seeing them until like 2 days later. So unfortunately, that's the way it has to go. But it's also nice for me to hear from you and know that you like this stuff. Oh, crikey. Crikey. Sorry, let me just get this up. Thank you so much, Adam Loves Horror, for $9.99 before the longest night in the world. And hey, I am prompt and concise sometimes. Now I get the reference. Continues. It's unrelated, but I'd love to thank you for your video on Black Mirror. Found it to be exceptional and highly recommendable. Thank you very much. I saw your lovely comment on that. And yeah, I'm really glad you liked it. That Black Mirror analysis is, well, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I did put it in the in the sort of channel favorites, channel most recommended. So yeah, it's one of those ones that I would really encourage people to watch if they're, you know, when they're trying to get in. I put it in the best of playlist because I really hope other people watch it, and I'm really glad you liked it. I'm very happy with that one. There you go. Follow Adam's advice there. Go and give the Black Mirror video a watch after this, or put it on your play later if you haven't seen it already. It's if I may say, yes, it's a good bit of analysis. Let's say, other than that, as you can see, you can support the stream via Super Chats. That's very welcome. Or if you would like to get early access to videos, exclusive content, be able to vote on what is covered in streams, then you can join as a member either here or on Subscribestar. That really helps me out. It helps fund the more ambitious projects I do by my research, etc. So I can bring a little more to the table. And it's very much appreciated. The best thing about the membership is that I am able to sort of reward with extra content and so on. And also something I really like to do for members is I can do a film that they request, as we are doing tonight. What a smooth segue. But yes, I do like to reward subscribers. So I think that is all my shilling. And we will now get into discussing dolls, which... yes, a quick note on, as Adam says, yes, it's called What Made Black Mirror So Disturbing. Highly recommended. And you can find it in the best of playlist or current channel favorites, I believe it's called. There we go. There we go. So, when I talked about it really helps me by my research. This film barely shows up in my research at all. It is not. I was counting on Clive Barker to talk about it. Not a chance. He very briefly mentions some of the big producers of this. That's Brian Yuzna, Stuart Gordon, who are a kind of double act in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. They seem to have shared an obsession with Lovecraft, who is their early inspiration. And naturally, if you like Lovecraft, you're going to like a bit of Poe. And Gordon and Brian Yuzna collaborated a lot on bringing some of those stories to life. Not so much in the same way that Roger Corman did in his 1960s AIP conversions, but very much with the 80s vibe, making the most of the gore that they were then able to do. So Stuart Gordon gets going with the one you will know him best for, ReAnimator. He followed ReAnimator in 1985 with From Beyond in 1986. However, and this blows my mind a bit, Dolls comes out in 1987, but was actually made before From Beyond.
Mhm. Yep, they had to do a lot of post production for the stop motion on the dolls afterwards. They used the same set for From Beyond and Dolls, so they saved. They used Empire Films set.
Yeah.
So
And filmed in Italy, as you will notice from the crew list. Strong Italian flavour on that. And I do find this very interesting because he is veering away from the Lovecraft adaptations, which, by the way, just for reference, so you have ReAnimator based on Herbert West Reanimator, From Beyond, also Lovecraft, Dagon in 2001 is Lovecraftian, but he also did a episode of the Masters of Horror series called Dreams in Witch House and the Black Cat. So he got in a Lovecraft story and a Poe story. And Brian Yuzna, his frequent collaborator and producer on Dolls, also did the one I'm forgetting. Hang on, got it. Necronomicon in 1993, which is a Lovecraft anthology. And you know we are covering that 100%. But this is quite nice for them to branch off it. But do you get the feeling, Murgoot, that he's someone who tried to say break out of a bit of a niche?
a little bit. Instead of Lovecraft, he went with the old classics, Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen, the darker side of them. And it's definitely got that feel.
You mentioned that he has got quite a variety, so not just space truckers, but you also mentioned the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Yes.
Which blows my mind, by the way. That's
He also directed an episode of the TV series Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He did quite a bit for Disney, for all in the same series, but they were successes all the way down the line. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. Like it might seem weird, but I think we've talked a few times about some people. They get a reputation as a horror guy, and that's not necessarily what they actually want to do.
Well, he started as a playwright, and very successful one at that, in Chicago and then LA. And he's written over 50 plays in his lifetime. And one of them actually hit Broadway. It flopped because nobody could understand it. It wasn't made for... It was made for experimental theater, not for... It was good enough to be on Broadway, but not for long.
Oh, dear.
So...
It's not a side of him that I know too much about, but... I can believe it, though. I can absolutely believe it, because he's got a big range here in what he's covering, and he's clearly successful in it. But I'm used to just thinking of him as a horror guy, and specifically as like a Lovecraft guy. But he strikes me as maybe someone who's a bit closer to a John Carpenter or a Wes. Maybe a Wes Craven is a bit. See, Wes Craven didn't really manage to break out of horror. And he tried quite hard to. But John Carpenter, I think, obviously got out of the genre quite well. And even if, people think of his big successes are mostly horror, people still think of Escape from LA. Murgoot, I always forget which way round it is. Which was
New
first?
York came first.
Ah, darn
LA
it.
came second. That would be ineligible for the sequel coming out long after the original.
Oh gosh, what was the gap on that?
I think it was like 15 years.
I would have totally accepted that then. And many people consider Escape from LA a horror. Sorry, folks. Sorry.
Oh, come on. Bruce Campbell is mad. Plastic Surgeon was awesome.
I wouldn't hear a word said against Bruce Campbell. Fair play. I'm also going to say, chat, I see a lot of you are under the weather. So, Bilbo, anyone else who's under the weather right now, yeah, get that weak lemon drink down you. The helps you sort of recover from colds, cheese any bosses that you need to, whatever you need to do. I hope you guys feel better. There's a lot going around. I've recently recovered myself.
Yeah.
Dollface
put in.
Dollface, thank you so much. Dollface, £10. Thank you ever so much, sir. I would say, I'm assuming, sir, we are progressive on this channel. I would say Dolls feels quite Roald Dahl-esque, and the main young girl in this feels like a proto-Mara Wilson. Though, funnily enough, Matilda wasn't published until 1988. Well, there is a lot in this. I think Roald Dahl is a very good comparison point. I mean, Murgoot, we were saying before the show, this is a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
Dolls is just straight up a fairy tale, a modern fairy tale, and Roald Dahl would be a good comparison, like someone who would write a story clearly in the mold of a children's story, but full of really dark details. I think the comparison to Mara Wilson is, well, quite obvious. I'm going to try and get you where do I have a good photo of her? There we go. I'll get a screenshot of her up there just so we can see. But yeah, I got the vibes as well. And by the way, not just this young actress looking a fair bit like Mara Wilson. I also thought the what's his name? Why do I never remember a character name? It's Ralph. I also couldn't. I just looked at Ralph and I just saw like Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
He looks a lot like Sean Astin.
He totally does. We're like he's Poundland Sean Astin, which sounds harsh, but
he's been in everything. He's been in so many different American TV shows. You know him by face and by voice, but you never remember his name unless you're big into character actors.
I gather he was pretty good at disrupting takes by causing the crew to crack up.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know much about him, Mr. Lee, but yeah, he's been in a little bit of everything. A lot of crime dramas, a lot of near present sci-fi dramas, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he had this sort of what can I say? That vibe of, gosh, I've seen him somewhere about him,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again for the £10 there, Dollface. Much appreciated. Very generous of you, especially as this is the film you chose. So I hope we do it justice. As we're saying, this is all the as we got into, this is all the hallmarks of an early production. Moved abroad to Italy to save a bunch of money, very canny, and reusing the set from Beyond, also very, very canny. it'd been a while since I saw From Beyond, so they managed to get it away from me, like without me seeing it and obviously thinking, hey, you reused the set. So I don't know how much differently they dressed it, but it didn't strike me as obvious just from the outside, I think, because the house is quite a distinctive exterior.
Yeah.
But it's also, I would say, a very original vision. Like, this is coming kind of early in a craze. There's quite a thing in horror of the doll that comes to life. And this is a really, really old thing. So you think back, the most obvious one we're going to go for is the one we covered so long ago that we love, 1945's Dead of Night and the brilliant Hugo section. But I feel like this has a slightly different characteristic to it. Like, I feel like there's a distinction between the film centered on a singular doll that is maybe alive, and there's almost like a completely different genre, which is about a mass of small toys that may or may not be alive. Do you know what I mean, Murgoot?
Yeah, it carries on Puppet Master and its sequels, Killer Toys. Trying to think.
We should. There was the Robin Williams vehicle toys in the 90s, which made it more kid friendly, but was a similar thing. Also, Toy Story, obviously not officially a horror. By the way, we should say that the chap who did a lot of the stop motion effects on this, David Allen, he also did the effects for Puppet Master. And I think, did he do Killer Toys as well? I'm just looking at his credits here, and I can't see it.
I don't see it either. I'm not sure.
But yeah, what I'm trying to get is like there feels to me a distinction between the two, and I struggle to put my finger on it really. But they tend to play out quite a lot differently, just in the fact that they don't have that focus. Like, this feels extremely different to me than, say, Dead of Night or The Boy, or my mind has gone blank. What's another one where it's just Annabelle, the Annabelle series. There we go.
Well, and then there's Child's Play, and then there's one that's memorable to me because I saw it as a kid and it freaked me out, was Magic with Anthony Perkins, and the split personality between him and the doll, and it turns out the doll is something special. It's creepy as all get out, especially for a kid.
I'm trying to think that I don't think I've seen Magic. Does it have the sequence of someone sort of floating outside a window?
No.
Okay.
It's more it centers around theaters and ventriloquists.
Oh, right.
And
interesting.
It's creepy as hell. It's been decades since I've seen it, but it sticks in my memory. The Anthony Perkins plays it to perfection. Just like he did in Psycho. They kind of typecast him as the psycho killer.
Unfortunately. I mean, he did it so well, it's iconic. But going back to like this rich strain of horror, I'm going to take this in a direction that maybe people aren't expecting. I'm going to reference Freud. And I'm going to try and find it. There we go. Good. Right. Those are the ones I need. So specifically, I'm thinking of what is it? Die Unheimlich. So the uncanny. You might not have read it. You probably haven't. It's a difficult read. It's quite an aged read now, as you'll expect. But The Uncanny is Freud's early 20th century examination of a specific type of fear. He spends, as you might expect, a lot of time talking about the wordplay, which makes it a sort of hard sell in English, because a lot of the wordplay and the etymology is based on the German word, unheimlich. And when you're translating the word, you aren't bringing those individual sections of the word across. So the analysis is a bit harder to do. If you slog your way through that, and you slog your way through the section where he talks about, I believe it's a short story that has long since, I think, passed out of cultural memory. You get to a section where he talks about other kinds of uncanniness that freak us out. And it's that part that's incredibly influential. If you know The Shining well, you see a lot of elements that Freud highlights there, used by Stanley Kubrick to make the film unsettling and uncanny. So particularly twins, you nailed it, Murgoot, nailed it. Yeah. Twins and recurrence of numbers in unusual places. But an element that they didn't exactly do is the dolls. And it's this idea of the thing that is meant to be like another thing but isn't, and the blurring of the boundaries that makes you uncertain and uncomfortable. Freud talks about it a fair old amount. This film, I think, uses it because it's dolls. The design of them is extremely uncanny. They're obviously toys, but they have touches of extra realism in them. They have details that, they belong on a human, but they're a little weird to see on a toy. Like, I chose this particular one. This is from the title sequence. The dolls get increasingly weirdly portrayed. They start to be shot from weirder angles with more unsettling lighting. And they have these details, especially in their eyes, where you just think the eyes are far too realistic. I will bring another one of them up. I'm thinking particularly where I... These ones, they're the little gaps around the eyes here. I don't think my cursor is actually showing on screen, unfortunately. But I'm looking at the slightly too realistic details in the eyes that make them out of place. They're slightly too expressive.
Well, it helps that the facial expressions on the dolls change to be very, very much more human than you'd expect on a doll.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just... It's edging you over the line into sort of what the heck is this meant to be there. We call it the uncanny valley, don't we? Something slightly human, but not there. And we're aware of the tension between those two ideas.
Yeah, dolls, the cracked mirror, the mirror twin, anything like that, where it trips off human instinct, which they think they've traced it to competing tribes of, say, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and Denisovans, where it creeps people out to see a very, very foreign tribe. and it's just carried on into our imagery. Freaks people out. I don't know if I'm explaining it right or not. But
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, it's all something that is designed to sort of make us feel the tension between the kind of certainty we crave in categorization. Something that trips over that boundary just
it's
makes
like
you
us,
feel like deeply uneasy.
but just subtly different enough that it trips off the "this is wrong, must get away" kind of
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. That very, very good. Yeah. I got this selection here of them that
The
I'm sure you
mantelpiece, one
noticed.
of the best of the film.
Oh, sorry.
The mantelpiece set that always
Oh, yeah.
changes, aside from the music box with the ballerina and the skeleton.
Oh, I mean that's another great thing. In this scene, and actually repeatedly throughout the movie, you're often, how can I say, in the movies focused around a single doll, you often spend so much time focusing on the big question of when am I going to see it move. And in this one, the dolls are kind of moving constantly. They don't hide this from you. They do it early, but it's kind of done in these really small moments. Is that fair to say, Murgoot?
Early and often, when what's her name? The Madonna wannabe. Every time
Oh,
she turns her head and turns back around, there's a different number of dolls. Either no dolls or 6 dolls or 2 dolls. Every time she turns around, it's different.
Yeah, they change their direction. Their slightly too human eyes move slightly, and it's just it's done so well, just between like light flashes and her moving across the screen. It's all to destabilize your sense of the scene. You start doubting yourself. Just hang on, weren't they looking the other way? What? It
Yeah.
is so skillfully done early on. It just creeps you out. I also note, like, we're talking about that thing of something's neither one thing or the other. Like, these are children's dolls, but their faces are also somewhere between adult and baby. I don't think my cursor is showing up, but I'm looking at, say, the ones closest to the clock. They have slightly sort of aging, slightly aging faces, like slight age lines you wouldn't expect and otherwise look quite young. It's just it's this odd combination that makes you just wonder what the heck is going on here.
Yeah.
It's
Well, should I do the Guinness pour overview?
oh yeah, we should probably do the synopsis, shouldn't we? Sorry, we just got into it. I like this one. Sorry, I got carried away talking about. I got a chance to talk Freud, and I just went off on one. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's go with the Guinness pour.
Do you want the video?
Certainly.
All right, I'll try and get you the video.
Hello, Harrian. Hello, Marina. Hello, Jay.
Where is it? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it for you. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, can't find
see.
it.
Little girl Judy is riding with her father and her wicked stepmother through the countryside. They pull off onto a side road and almost hit a couple hitchhikers, dressed as Madonna of all things. A rain starts, they get stuck in the mud, and they find a house in the middle of nowhere, big Gothic, Victorian Gothic, and they try the front door, they sneak in the back way, they're stopped, and then the two Madonna wannabes hitchhike in, and they get stuck too with the driver Ralph, played by Mr. Lee. And while the family is at dinner with the homeowners, the elderly couple, the two nasty girls and Ralph barge in.
I'm
and
glad you
then-
said nasty because I hated them more than anything in the world. I could not stand them.
When they're nastier than the wicked stepmother, something's wrong. But anyway, they're all shown to their rooms, and then mayhem ensues. When the more wicked they are, the worse fate they get. All the while, Judy's running through the place. She finds the blood trail from, is it Ingrid or is it?
They do have like incongruous names. So one of them is Enid, and the other one is
Isabel.
There we go, Isabel. There we go.
And can't remember which is which, but for
Enid is the one who looks like Columbia from Rocky Horror. And I think that is very deliberate. And Ingrid is the one who, is very much modeled on Madonna deliberately.
Yeah, it's both of them look like 30-year-old women trying to play teens. The makeup is just, it doesn't cover the crow's feet. It kind of took me out of things, but anyway, mayhem ensues. The wicked are punished. Enid ends up upstairs after trying to thieve from the elderly couple. She ends up upstairs dying with the doll's face attached to her. Judy ends up finding a lot of the bodies. The father is rather abusive to her. He's held off from being physically abusive because otherwise he'll lose custody. The stepmother basically says, well, you can't punish her, but I certainly can. But near the end, because Ralph, Mr. Lee, is a boy at heart and remembers things, remembers how it feels to be a kid. We'll get into Mr. Punch replacing Teddy later in the discussion because that's hilarious. But Mr. Punch comes to the rescue in the end and assaults the father. Punch is destroyed. The father ends up becoming Punch in the end. The elderly couple explain that they're witches, and they punish the wicked by making them into harmless dolls. Harmless. And then read off a letter in the end to Ralph and Judy that everybody's left and that money's been left to get them a plane ticket to Boston to reunite Judy with her mother. And then during the end credits, another nasty couple arrive at the house.
Yeah.
Short and
spot
sweet
on.
movie. Little under 80 minutes.
As you said, short and sweet is the description. You're not wrong. I saw that at 77 minutes, and I did wonder what the heck was going on there. I mean, it's not entirely unusual for something of that time. I think a couple of the early Giallo that we covered were like 79 minutes long. But I would say like something only 77 minutes is a bit unusual. Did that stand out to you?
A little bit, not as much. The InReab, 10 pounds. When I was a kid in the late 70s at the nursery, there was a Punch and Judy devil doll in the toy cupboard that I was terrified of. One day I got locked in the cupboard with it. Ooh, that's
That
bad. I've never
that's an
liked
origin
Punch
story
and
right there. The Enriad.
Judy.
You could be a Batman villain with a story like that. I can picture it. You could be in the rogues gallery setting your crocodile on people, hitting them with sausages. Oh dear. Thank you very much for the £10. Very generous, much appreciated. Gosh, they are deliberately unsettling. There's quite a lot that goes into the Punch and Judy. In fact, I remember seeing a very interesting lecture about the real meaning of Punch and Judy on YouTube. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Which maybe we'll look at in a bit more depth. God, that is creepy though.
Yeah.
That is creepy.
Punch and Judy are creepy story, especially when it's played out. You wouldn't see it played out for children anymore just because
Some elements maybe.
Wrong lesson. But one of my favorite parts of the movie comes early when their father, stepmother, and Judy are tromping through the woods. The stepmother takes Teddy and throws the bear into the mud, and Judy stops and starts daydreaming about the stepmother coming back and assaulting her, trying to get her to move. And a full-size teddy, 6-foot tall teddy bear comes out of the bushes and starts moving towards him, and then starts morphing, pulling apart, and there's a real bear in there that mauls the stepmother. And then
I love
flashes
this.
back to the real scene. I love the line, "Oh, Teddy."
I mean, oh man, I mean, you did a great job summarizing it. But something like this, I think, really gives away what the film is going for. I mean, it is an unusual vision here. So we got at the start, she's driving along. The characterization is not subtle, but it is not meant to be. And we're told why it's not meant to be. Exactly as you said, Murgoot, we got the father, the sort of waylaid father, and the evil stepmother. And my goodness, she is evil. Actually, I'm just going to get her back on screen because I think we were meant to think of something when we saw her.
Almost
this
Cruella de Vil.
I'm so glad you said that. That is exactly what I was going for. It doesn't show up well in this because you can't see her head wrap, but I think we were absolutely meant to think of Cruella when we saw her.
Yeah, that was my first thought when I first saw her. It's okay, evil stepmother, Cruella de Vil. Yeah, it's not going to end well.
He's like, we are doing a fairy tale here, but it has been modernized. And we've got these Stuart Gordon and Ed Naher, who is a writer for this. They've kind of updated things into the modern archetypes. So by using Cruella de Vil's imagery, all of that is communicated to us, like arch-villain, evil stepmother. It's so over the top. He's put it into a modern archetype for us. I might be reaching here, but I genuinely think that was quite clever.
It set the stage perfectly in her imagination, just the transformation of Teddy into the monstrous bear, and just, oh, Teddy.
I think you almost wonder if we're seeing the film kind of through her eyes. especially in this bit. Like we're given the forewarning that she's holding up Hansel and Gretel.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's 2/3 through her eyes and 1/3 through Ralph's eyes, because they're the children.
Very well said. Yeah. So like the Teddy sequence is wonderful, and also it doesn't happen. It's not quite a dream sequence. It's a wish sequence. But I'll get about it. But it sort of confirms where we're meant to be. These older ideas, your fairy tales about the creature in the woods coming out, or the toy actually being alive to protect you. These are sort of childish fairy tale ideas, except it's expressed in the wonderful vein of 80s horror. So
that's
Teddy
one
here
of the
just needs to...
taglines is toys are loyal to their children. Toys are loyal.
Yeah. I mean, that alone is an angle that makes this stand out, that it's not really that they're evil. They're not little voodoo dolls, They're not Hugo. They really are their own thing. They're doing something really interesting. But this sequence of Teddy, like going from the massive cuddly bear, then ripping his face apart, and the sort of more vicious bear coming apart, it is so 80s to me, and I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's kind of cheesy, but it's really well done. The makeup and puppeteers are having a blast with it.
Oh, completely. I think there's also maybe a little bit of a what would you say, a gift to the horror fan of, I'm going to give you an early kill. It's not Friday the 13th. We're not killing off campers, but I'm going to give you a little bit of blood at the start. This is the 80s. We kind of expect it,
Yeah.
This might not be for your generation, and I think this isn't going to work for the Zoomers. But for people, so for you sort of 80s kids, I think this might have had an impact in the sense that when I was a kid, there was a toy, I saw it called like a Teddy Scare.
Yeah.
Like they were a teddy bear that looked super cute, and you could like change it to change it into something absolutely grotesque.
Adam Loves Horror pegs it with a super chat for $1.99. Also a spin on the doll Teddy Ruxpin, which very, very much was Uncanny Valley. I still remember doing the typical thing where I took my sister's Teddy Ruxpin and put in Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon and let Teddy Ruxpin howl. It's a stuffed bear with a tape deck in it that moves along to the music or the soundtrack. It's rather disturbing.
Oh, that is a heck of an image, Murgoot.
It's hilarious, and Adam Loves Horror pegs it exactly.
Yeah, it's gosh, when you're a kid like that, how can I say, like, things can flip like this. Like, you're super comfortable with the idea of the old wolf who's eating your grandma and is dressed up in her clothes, sly sneak sort of thing. And how that sort of horrifying thing is also presented in a cuddly way. But the thing it's done is whereas this is just bringing it to the surface and expressing it in a really visceral fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, the second I saw this, I was in. I was like, okay, this film is kind of creative here. This is doing something fun.
Yeah. Alabastard, so I'm not the only one to play Metallica and Teddy Ruxpin. No, I never played Metallica. I always either played Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, Or the last time I did it to my sister, she hit play and it was Slayer's Raining Blood.
Oh dear. This is a bit lost on a Brit, I'm afraid. I don't think we had Teddy Ruxpins. But oh gosh, what another thing I was going to say about this scene is what it kind of establishes is that Teddy was her protector, and she loses it. Okay, the stepmother chucks Teddy away, so she goes into that house really sort of needing a protector, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's very short amount of time before she's hooked up with Mr. Punch.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I don't know if I have a better shot of him, I'm afraid. Oh, I do. I have got a better one. So I can take us away from these rather hideous harlots who were... I mean, bless them. The actresses did an amazing job. I hated these characters so much. Ingrid and Enid.
They were so over the top. It was so great.
I know they knew exactly what they were doing. But I mean, maybe to spend a little bit of time on them. In what this is doing, I think, is extremely deliberate. The clash of the modern and the traditional is something Stuart Gordon's really getting at here. Yeah, they are absolutely tied to the time set. Well, the Rocky Horror tribute is a little older. This is 1987. Rocky Horror was 1975. Don't ask me how I know. The Madonna thing is much more current. Sorry?
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tell me you never went to the midnight movies and dressed up.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, come on. I will freely admit, in my youth, I did Dr. Frankenfurter.
Bloody hell, that is a revelation, Murgoot.
I also did the old doctor in the wheelchair with the stockings and the high heels.
Oh, crikey. Nice. I have a policy.
I quit going to the midnight movies after in the wedding scene where they throw the rice, where somebody got over exuberant. And I got hit in the back of the head with a box of minute rice.
Oh no.
I stopped going after that.
I have a policy that what happens in the Rocky Horror screenings stays in the Rocky Horror screenings. I think it's for the... Although I am just seeing the comments coming out. Alabastard, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I think, to be honest, a bit of the energy of Rocky Horror got edged out by The Room. Because I went to see so many... Like, I think a lot of the crowd that enjoyed that then started going to The Room screenings and having a ball there.
Oh, I still remember the midnight movies. It was Heavy Metal, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Eraserhead in constant rotation. Then they'd occasionally flip in quick showings of something.
That's glorious. That is so glorious.
That was once a month going to the midnight movies. It's borrowing pumps from one of the basketball players. Well, in U.S. women's sizes, size 14s are hard to find.
Oh, blimey. I can imagine. Oh, a razor head in a cinema, though. Oof.
That truly disturbing.
Murgo, I am envious of that sort of midnight showing in America culture. Like, we don't really have it in Britain. There was one place in London, the amazing Prince Charles Cinema, where they thrive on the sort of re-showings of old movies. Like that's a close, or they do they really did the double bills and triple bills there, and I just think, oh my gosh, is this what you can get in America with the reshow? I just the weird thing is, like, I've seen that in the movies of people seeing the movies like that, I realise we're getting sort of into simulacrum territory with this, but damn, it looks cool to me.
Oh, it was
Is
a
it so
blast.
cool?
And we're fully off track.
Sorry, so we should. So look, we're talking about nostalgia, right? I'm going to segue. So in this very scene, something they raise is like the clash between the old traditional toys made with love and care and the modern mass-produced stuff. I mean, that clash still rings true today, right? That issue is still there, right?
Yeah, I've got my fair share of nostalgia for the 80s and the 70s, just because that was the place and time I grew up in. And, well, if you lived through it or have witnessed its short resurgence, it is very memorable, if only for the clothing and the jewelry and the hair metal and new wave post-punk. Just the makeup, the clothes, the music, it's 2 minutes to midnight, we're all gonna die, so let's party. And take a cue from Prince, party like it's 1999. Nostalgia rules all when I start talking about it.
True. There's there's a vibe in that, like the stuff you're mentioning there. That like there's a bit of the nihilism in the punks there, right? Like these girls that are meant to be representative of punk culture. I think it's really notable that they are both women. To me, there's something in the, why can I not remember character names? Bloomin' heck, she's like the main character. Judy. Bloomin' heck. There's like Judy is in search of a direction, right? She's lost Teddy, her protector. Her mum's not there. She's got this evil stepmother. She's kind of got this who do I grow up into dilemma. I think it's really deliberate that she's presented with two women who are further bad role models.
Yeah. And then there's Ralph, who had a really good role model who died when he was 9. And he's still a boy at heart. He never grew up after his father died.
Yeah. I think that's a really key to understand the movie. This film may be visceral. This film is absolutely taking advantage of the extra license you get in the 80s to show a lot of gore. But this film is never nihilistic. This film is never cynical.
No, it's also there's no nudity.
No.
Which for an 80s horror flick is remarkable. And also, anytime anybody cusses, somebody shouts them down for it or punishes them.
Yeah, you mentioned that before we started streaming, and I thought, how did I not catch that? Like, I'm so used to it now. I try not to swear too much, but gosh darn, yeah, that slipped me by. And just when you pointed out, yeah, they reject the swearing, I thought, oh gosh, that was a really good catch.
All the 80s tropes of boobs and swearing, bad behaviors there, but it doesn't go. The only thing that takes it into rated R territory is the violence and the gore. None of the other. There's an occasional cuss word, but somebody always shouts them down.
Yeah,
it's
like the slightly sleazy element is hinted at, but it's taken out. But I think that's again because, as we said, this is a fairy tale.
It's those who do bad are punished.
Yeah, fairy tales are absolutely fine with a bit of violence, absolutely. But Bob's and Vagine, not so much.
Yeah.
They really do communicate that to you quite hard in this one. We were having a little bet when we were watching, saying, "Who's going to bite it first?" And I was just saying, "I really hope it's the girls. I really hope it's the punks." Like, do you think this had? Do you think the punks there were in any way inspired by Return of the Living Dead?
Somewhat. Madonna and Madonna at her worst, and then the punk post-punk scene. All I can think of is the girls who hung around the Sex Pistols that went on to do their own thing and really blew up, like Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees, or
She hung around the Sex Pistols?
Yes, she did.
I'm showing my ignorance here. Apologies. Did not know.
Yeah, she was one of their groupies. And then she started her own band.
Crikey. Goodness me.
Yeah.
That is brand new information. Sorry, to drag us on track, I just thought maybe we'd address the importance of Mr. Punch here.
Yeah, he attacks and defends Judy, and they attack Ralph because he's not believing, and then Judy stops them from attacking him because he's the only one who's defending her besides the dolls. And they do, and Ralph wakes up to the fact that this is real and toys are loyal to her.
Yeah. It's her mindset. Her child's way of viewing it is the key. But there's also that, so because it's, she's Judy, it's Punch and Judy, as she remarks on at the start.
Well,
there's also the fact that Punch is... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Murgoot, please.
She makes comments that are very adult, but then she qualifies it at one point. Well, I'm 7 years old, so what do I know?
It's a bit knowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little bit knowing, yes. But again, not I felt cynical here. And that's something that's very refreshing. I really liked in this that it wasn't cynical. And I think Stuart Gordon tends to bring that energy from what I've seen. There's a nice optimism to it. There's a good energy to it. But I just thought the use of Punch here, he is a figure of justice. Again, there's a great lecture given by this chap in a pub called The Real Meaning of Punch and Judy. And in that you get that Punch is an archetypical figure who is a dispenser of justice. And he's his own sort of wild justice. He will fight the system. He fights normalcy. He'll beat up the bailiff. He'll beat up the policeman. He beats up the priest even.
Yeah.
The fact that she's got Punch as an ally and the nominal, normal authority, like her father and evil stepmother, the adult examples she has in the girls, Enid and Ingrid, are bad examples to her. It makes sense that she is Punch there to defend her. Because Punch is about a kind of justice, even if it's against the norm. He will just sort of bat it away. He's almost like in a way, it maybe even isn't even justice. It's more like a pure id. And as we said, she went into this after losing Teddy, needing a protector. Dollface, if you're still in this, I don't know if you expected a sort of psychological reading of this film, but you asked me to do it, so this is where I'm taking it. You get Freud, and you get a Punch and Judy lecture. So, Yes, yeah. Punch obviously beats Judy as well, but sometimes it's. I maybe shouldn't say that on YouTube. Oh, bless you, Dollface. That's exactly what you expected. Okay, good. I was rereading the Unheimlich for the commentary I'm doing on The Shining, so that's why it's very fresh in my brain at the moment. Anyway, I'm glad you liked it. Bless you. You guys know me so well. Someone here is hoping for the gay reading of this film. I'm going to have to disappoint you on that one.
Yeah, there's the only couples are the elderly couple and then the father and the evil stepmother, and he tries, but she's dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's chased because the film is largely through her eyes.
Yeah.
So she just does not incorporate that in. And to her, she as an innocent child, accompanied by Ralph, who is basically a child at heart, they're able to see out of this sort of cynical vision of it. Whereas the more cynical characters do not do that. I don't think I have footage of them being killed because YouTube.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll tell you what. I'll get this one up because I quite like it. Let's see.
There are a couple of really sick jokes in there, much like ReAnimator and From Beyond, but I won't go into them for YouTube's sake.
No. Okay, there are some more adult things in there certainly. We really loved the sequence when we were watching it. Just the way Ingrid, slightly dollified, is kept in the background.
Yeah, that mask is creepy as all get out.
They were very smart to only half light it.
Well, when she moves and the eyes fall out, and,
I couldn't find.
Freaks out.
It's a good move. I did find. How can I say? This isn't a deep pull, by the way. Like this is just in the trivia if you're looking at this movie, because I said there's not much written about it. I think the sort of psychological readings we're doing, I think, is maybe about the deepest you can get on this particular film, because honestly, no one covers it. Clive Barker didn't cover it. Kim Newman's Nightmare Movies did not cover it. Gadsby's Book of Horror does not cover this movie. Basically, everyone skips over it. But I did find an interesting tidbit that this scene with the eyes falling out, which I think it lands really well, is basically done because, as with so many cases in horror, let's say early 80s independent horror, the poster was made first. And if that sounds weird to you, Friday the 13th was sold like this. They literally made the poster first and then got investment based on the poster. So Dolls, same thing, 7 years after Friday the 13th in 1980, made that poster, the creepy one with the doll holding its own eyes in its hand. If you're wondering, did Guillermo del Toro see it and get a little inspiration for Pan's Labyrinth? Maybe, who knows? They made that lovely image in the poster. You don't really get a doll like that in this movie, but they I'm trying to remember who insisted. It may have been Ed Naher, the writer, said that if you're going to have it on the poster, you should have something like that in the movie, which is why they shot the scene where the slightly dollified Ingrid drops her eyes out and then holds them up. That's why that's in there. That was a little garbled. I hope that made sense. I was trying to get a lot of information out there. Sorry. Did that make sense, Murgoot?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, thank you. Oh dear. It's also an oddity here that she's like, they don't do this treatment to anyone else. But it's a great scare. I'd contrast it as well, because I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought the build up to Ingrid getting killed was really good, really unnerving, using all that uncanny horror that we talked about. But then I thought her actual death, I felt quite cheated. Like, you know, I'm just thinking like the way she was being dragged around and you don't see anyone dragging her. I just thought, it looks a bit cheap.
Yeah, they were on a budget.
They were certainly on a budget.
Most of the dolls stop motion after the fact, so it's all the eyes and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Isabel and Enid, and then the evil stepmother flying out the window.
Oh yeah, that I think we've been pretty positive about this film so far. I would throw that in as maybe the other really weak area. I really didn't like the stepmother like jumping over and dying. I wasn't a fan of that.
Nah, that one was kind of a cheap death. Slight build up, and it's she's gonna get hacked apart. Almost. She just jumped out the window. Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
You're allowed a couple of bomb notes. You're allowed it. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. And then I just started thinking, like, how have they managed to drag her back into the bed? How?
I don't know.
It's one of those weak points in a film that has quite a lot of highlights. And again, something that's really nice about this is how unconventional it is.
Yeah, it's hard, in my opinion, it's hard to do it, but he pulled off a sweet horror, kindly horror. It sits weird after watching it. I liked it, but it just sits. I can see why Dollface recommended it, because it is very different, especially from other 80s horror films.
Yeah, well, there's something that distinguishes it. Before we went live, I compared it to Fright Night. And it's in that sweet spot of the horror is good, the gore is nasty, but the vibe is pleasant. That's what I really like about it. Something I adore about Fright Night is just the mood is good and positive. The ethos is not cynical, it's not nihilistic. That's the best thing about it, and I think that's what people love about Stranger Things, is a similar thing of horrible gore, but not nihilistic.
And as I mentioned in the green room, the soundtrack is ominous and yet sweet at the same time. And it carries through the movie that the bad are going to get their justice, but the heroes are going to see through the day. It's a very enchanting soundtrack.
I maybe don't have the best. I'm not super musical, so it didn't stick with me as much. But I remember it was a lot lighter. Was it still kind of synthy?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, there we go.
Synthy classical.
So sort of basically updated fairy tale, you might say.
Mhm. Very much so. And
I
we
just
have a super
super
chat.
chat. Oh, you're on the ball there. Patrick Batman, again, I absolutely love the Avatar. Thank you so much for £5. Have I seen 2023's Suitable Flesh with Barbara Crampton? So Barbara Crampton, I know why you're raising her. So she is a Stuart Gordon favourite from ReAnimator and From Beyond. What else do we know her from? That's bugging me.
Corman.
No, I haven't. I've never even heard of that. Let me look that up. I'm going to pull up Suitable Flesh now. And I'll see. Hang on, Joe Lynch? Where do we know that name from? You sent me on a live rabbit hole here. Okay, early stuff. Hatchet 2. Okay. Oh, interesting. So he's really into the Hatchet scene. That is a weird little area. Okay. No, I have not. I don't think I've seen most of this guy's stuff, to be honest. Do you recommend it? Is that a thumbs up? I mean, I'm guessing very, very Stuart Gordon-like as a thumbs up, because I would take that as a compliment. All right, I've got it saved. I also have someone recommended Confessions from 2010. I still have that tab up to save it. I get around to your recommendations eventually, folks. I do try and do it. So thank you very much for the super chat, and thank you very much for the recommendations. Let's see. Oh, and hey, Devontae, good to see you, man. Crikey, where were we? Oh, sorry. I wanted to take us on a quick tangent, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So something else I thought. An early bit where our wonderful toy maker, I'll just get him up quickly because I haven't shown this photo yet, and I think he looks amazing and kind of Bruce Campbell-like. It was something related to our discussion about craftsmanship versus mass production, and he's got that sort of, obviously there's an old-timing sort of nostalgic innocence to it, what he's promoting. But I also thought, do you think this is it's got a strong message from a filmmaker's perspective? As in like independent versus studios?
Well, it's Stuart Gordon. It's got his fingerprints all over it. I mean, it's his vision. It's always slightly strange, slightly skewed, but engrossing at the same time. It's hard to put my finger on it. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I just basically read it as it's maybe the voice of an independent filmmaker who's sort of struggling to make the film, has had to go to Italy, to get everything together, is having to really cobble things together to make that film and make it with love and craftsmanship. Someone who's hugely involved in it because you basically have to be. And maybe just getting a little like maybe casting a little bit of what we would call side eye at, say, bigger studios for kind of churning stuff out. Like, is this a guy who is maybe looking at... I'm probably getting this wrong, so forgive me, but New Line Cinema for sort of pumping out slightly more cynical horror fodder. And saying like, kind of like, you're kind of churning. So it's like the mass-produced studio films that he doesn't really want to do versus his...
Italy.
Sorry?
Stuart Gordon had more creative control because he went through Empire in Italy, where they did things on a budget and let the director have free reign for his vision. Stuart Gordon, all of his horrors, I mean, From Beyond and Dolls are same set, basically. Dagon was filmed in a small town in Spain where he had creative control. And as an independent, he was allowed to have free reign because he had a vision of what he was doing. But beyond that, it's independents who are successful. The creativity comes through, not just the cynicism.
Yeah. I think that's maybe that is what he's talking about then, to an extent. Still, it's still that sort of that love and care that he puts in as an independent filmmaker, where he can make it himself. And make, you know, like this guy, he feels quite outside of the system while he's doing this.
Yeah.
I know, maybe an extra lens to look at the film with. Thank you very much, Adam Loves Horror. Not a smoking pipe, Black Mirror circle moment. Oh gosh, am I missing something? I know I'm missing something. Is that a Black Mirror thing? No, sorry. If it's a reference I'm missing, feel free to give me a sort of coded nudge, but I'm feeling very dense on that one. Gosh. No, I can't get it. Sorry, man.
The painting you referred to.
Duh. Okay, is that a Magritte reference? If you're referring to Magritte, I'm especially embarrassed not to pick it up.
Only a buzzing, peep.
Dear. Yeah, that's Le Trésor de Marche, the betrayal of images. Yes, I hope so. Sorry, Adam. No, sorry. I try and do my clever reaches, but sometimes I drop the ball. Oh dear. Okay. Let's see. So we talked about how. So this is also swinging around. So we talked about how this is a fairy tale being told in a kind of horror mold here, and we have the let's say what friend of the channel Connor Tomlinson would point out is horror being reactionary, horror using violence as supreme authority from which all others are derived to reinstate the correct order of things. That is, in Ingrid and Enid being corrected, which is kind of the gift to traditional horror fans. It is what we expect. It's what we're there for. We'd be surprised if there wasn't someone meeting a nasty end after going astray. I wanted to ask you, how did you feel? What did you think of the Enid sequence? Because things went a bit different with her. She actually sort of lashes out at the dolls. I want to sort of hear you on that, if you don't mind.
Her lashing out with the boy toy belt.
Yes.
One of the comments in the 80s that I remember is, damn, that's a large belt. That's a deadly weapon if I've ever seen one. And yeah, they used that. It's the Madonna boy toy belt. They actually used that reference directly.
And that was a thing back in the day, right? Because this is not...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Madonna was the trendsetter with that. And every teenage girl tried to get their hands on them, and they were so damn expensive.
Oh, goodness, yeah. It's not a thing I remember. So I saw it referenced in the trivia. I was like, oh, goodness, That's a trend I've missed, but obviously they are referencing Madonna.
The belt
That
buckles
was
with Boy Toy, or them stenciling it on with liquid paper on their fringe jackets along the belt line, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's oh yeah. And yes, Patrick Batman, I want those toy soldiers too. Those are great.
Yeah. I mean, I raised the thing about how it's sort of a reactionary horror moment that it is the correct order being reimposed. So that's particularly why I thought of this sequence, and it's literally the British Army setting her straight, like literally regimented. I blooming loved that.
Yeah, Patrick Batman for £5. Dan
Yes, thank you.
O'Bannon's The Resurrected from 1991 is a very Stuart Gordon-esque movie. Yes, The Resurrected is very, very much in that vein, and I recommend it just
Oh,
because
okay.
it's
Already
so.
seen it.
Oh yeah, I've
Nice.
seen a lot of things in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so I pulled that up since I saw your super chat, Patrick, and thank you very much for that. I pulled up the Wikipedia. It's funny, we talked about Dan O'Bannon. We referenced his Return of the Living Dead earlier. I am absolutely certain that the Punk Girls are in kind of as an expression of that as a result of Return of the Living Dead. But I just looked up the Resurrected, and you've kind of scored a winner here, because it says it's an adaptation of The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. I mean, what is it with that story? Anyone who adapts it calls it anything other than Case of Charles Dexter Ward. You know, when Roger Corman adapted it, he called it The Haunted Palace and tried to make everyone think it was a Edgar Allan Poe movie. I think the only one I've seen actually call it Charles Dexter Ward is the rather wonderful BBC radio adaptation, which, by the way, now has a 4th season that I've been watching. And viewers of this stream may find very interesting for its commentary. I'll put it that way and not go into it further. But no, I can't say anything more on stream. We'll cover it another time, folks. I'm intrigued. I've seen, Dan O'Bannon, that's a plus for me. Interesting writer. Adapting a story that I absolutely love. And I've also noticed Chris Sarandon in there. That is a big win for me. We talked about Fright Night earlier. One of my favourites. Yeah, this is a win. I'm checking this out. Thank you very much for this recommendation. I've never heard of this. I am absolutely watching that. That is brilliant. Thank you. Nice. I'm doing very well off the recommendations, guys. You're absolute stars.
Oh, I finally remembered it. Susie Sue and the Sex Pistols and the other punk bands of the era. Look up Bromley Contingent.
Bromley Contingent.
Yes.
Okay. Bromley Contingent will do. This is just the Wikipedia is calling them early pop punk figures. Okay. Oh, Contingent is a good Billy Idol. Crikey.
From Generation X, his original band.
Blimmin' heck. Interesting. That is quite a rabbit hole I could go down. Lovely stuff.
Oh yeah.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I wanted to dig in a little more on Enid. So she swings that massive belt around and she actually cracks some of the masks. And I was just wondering what you thought of what she finds under the masks. How did you read that?
The shrunken heads of the wicked. That was my thought. It's they're not just animated dolls. They're previous victims or previous bad guys turned into dolls. That kind of set things in stone for me.
Yeah. Do we think do we think of them as bad guys though?
Not the dolls. They've been taught their lesson. They've been taught loyalty.
Excellent. We're on the same wavelength with that. Like, I almost wonder, how can I say? I almost wonder if it's only Enid seeing that. Like, would Judy or Ralph or even the sort of the witch and wizard who run the facility, would they see something grim and green and nasty under there?
The elderly witches would have.
Well,
I don't know about Ralph and Judy. They would have seen the broken dolls and been sad.
Yeah, I'm just, my instinct is that it's very viewpoint based. Like, I think we can't take it as literally. Like, Enid is not a great person. She is grim. She is manipulative. She's afraid. She acts hostile. She acts hostile and invites hostility. She cracks them open, and I think because she sees them as evil, that's why she sees something like goblin-like and grim underneath. But I'm just thinking of, Judy calls them fairies and elves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how far to take this, but it makes me think that maybe it's very much in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. That's not exactly the read I got, but now that I think about it, when the father punches head and the skull isn't in there, it's just an empty head. Yeah, I think you might be onto something now that I think of it.
Yeah. Adam Loves Horror has come up with an interesting one. I mean, did this bring back we should have thought of this, yeah, Tales from the Hood, of course. Only a couple of weeks ago.
I think dolls may have influenced the guys who did Tales from the Hood.
Oh, do you reckon David Allen, our guy from this, did Tales from the Hood? Let's look it up. Come on, man. Come on. Oh. No, he did not do it. Alas. Well, whoever did that one did another good job. Actually, you know, when I was talking about all the uncanny stuff, I should have mentioned stop motion. Stop motion is incredibly uncanny. Like, no matter how close you are, even if you're Harryhausen, there's something that tells you it's stop motion.
Yeah.
Totally sets off the uncanny radar in your head. Yeah. Oh, great stuff. Let's see. So we talked about the death of Ingrid. We talked about the death of the stepmother, and then we've kind of ended up on. We've brushed on the section where Ralph and Judy are attacked, and Judy actually pleads with the dolls. Quite a sweet sequence, I think. Yeah.
She pleads with the dolls to save Ralph. Ralph wakes up to the reality of surreality of what's going on. And then from there, they start roving through, and they find the father wakes up to what's going on and blames it all on Ralph and goes off to try and attack him.
There's a very dark, humorous vein in this film where Ralph is just accused of noncery.
Yeah.
Like, over and over, the poor guy.
Yeah.
Ralph's just a normal man. Just an innocent man. And he
With
gets
the heart of
accused
a child.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, this scene makes for quite an interesting moment where he's just sort of the contrast between the way everyone else approaches the dolls and the way Judy sees them.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know, I found it a bit of an eye-opener. Just the fact that she took that approach. She didn't instinctively go with hostility.
Yeah, she wants to save Ralph and she wants help from the dolls.
I think it's absolutely key to this film just having that positive vibe. I mean, these things are absolutely going to like come in with we see them attacking people with like Stanley knives and screwdrivers and really it's quite nasty, but there is an internal logic to them that is nice. I like the way you said it earlier that they've obviously failed a test in that they've been turned into the dolls, but they're not exactly evil. They've been taught a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite a distinction. That feels, like very, very true to a fairy tale. Like, you'll pay a very harsh price, but you learn a lesson from it. And as we get to the end, I think I have got the father there. We have a sequence, where he attacks Punch, and as you say, there's nothing there. It's almost like he's empty because there always needs to be a Punch. He's empty because there is a vacancy there.
Yeah,
I remember Punch is there because Judy needs that role filled. She lost Teddy, and so she looks for another protector. She gets Punch. This Punch is gone. Okay, there's a vacancy. Like, she will not leave with Punch, but she will get Teddy back. She's always needing that protector.
Yeah, the father knocks out Ralph and Judy. The dolls drag them off while the father is fighting off Punch, who does quite a bit of damage to the father, and then the father takes the chair leg and then kicks Punch in the face and cracks his skull open. And then the witchy couple come in and explain to him what's going on and transform him into the new Punch. What was the line? I like Punch's new modern clothing. I think the hat will clash, though. And they put the hat on him.
They criticize his swearing, and so they call it fruity language or something like that. I adored how unthreatened they were by him. Like, he's an absolute ant to them. He can't do anything. They're so above it. Serious, like there's got some Bombadil vibes,
Yeah.
He's a merry old fellow, and they just can't. This guy with his modern attitudes, his real sort of materialistic of the world stuff, can't intrude on their domain. I absolutely love it. Interesting question. Adam Loves Horror for $2. Thank you so much. Better transformation, Mr. Punch or Mr. Sims? Mr. Sims, what? I can only think of the sweet shop owner, so I'm missing something here. But I think I did want to say about the transformation. There's
Mr. Sims.
Oh, Mr. Sims. From
Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood, of course. No, Mr. Sims every time. And he has a better line, which I cannot read on stream. Sorry, Adam, you got to remember, I never remember character names. So Suave Black Mortuary guy would have got it for you, or was it
Clarence Williams
Mr. Glass Precursor would have got it. Took me a while. I did want to say this transformation that it felt like a very almost obligatory 80s thing, like an almost Rick Baker style thing, a la American Werewolf in London and The Howling.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look it up to be. Let me get the years right. Sorry, American Werewolf. Come on. 1981. There we go. So The Howling will have been 81 or 82. I feel like this is very much of the era where you had to do your on-screen transformation, and it was a big challenge. So it feels like maybe they were almost pressured into that to do an on-screen one, and I'm not sure they quite had the ability to do him transforming into Punch. How do you feel about that, Murgoot?
It wasn't great, but it fit the movie. That's my opinion. It fit the movie. It fit. Excuse me. It fit rather well into how things were portrayed in the movie. Just the grotesque, uncanny valley of him transforming. It's happening, but it's not quite real. You can see the seams around the edges, which fits the dolls.
I guess so. You might be a bit more lenient to it than me. I would have liked to see them get a lot more money to do this transformation, but I don't know, the one where it was back to so we get a little bit of prosthetic work, then we get a full latex prosthetic head, probably miniature, and then we go to a actor in prosthetics. And when we had the actor in prosthetics, I don't know, I got Creepshow 2 vibes. I don't have a screen cap for it. I should have got one, but it made me think of Tom Savini's role as the creep in Creepshow 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I'm sorry if that reference is a bit obscure, folks. Look, if you've done your homework, if you've looked at... Oh, spoilers, by the way. 2 hours 12 in. Spoilers. Sorry, folks. Two things I forget every stream. Hi, people on the rewatch. Much appreciated. And also, spoilers. I will forget every single stream. Doesn't mean I don't care. Just means I'm inept. Yeah, so sorry if that's a bit obscure. I will treat you to a Stuart Gordon filming this. I don't know if he's filming this exact movie, but he's almost certainly filming on this location. If that reference is a bit obscure, just look at Tom Savini as a creep in Creepshow 2, and then look at that transformation and look at the third stage of it, where the actor is sort of covered in full Punch prosthetics, and you'll get what I mean there. I saw the similarities. Yeah, but it was an interesting one, and that vibe, I thought, again, the fact that they were so unthreatened by him.
Yeah. And the
Keeps
good
it positive.
and innocent get rewarded in the end with money for plane tickets and valid excuse for the parents to be gone. Oh, they moved on and they want you to go back to your mother. Ralph, they gave you enough money to get her to Boston. Here's money for a plane ticket for you too. And then Judy basically tells him, well, you're nice and you're cute and I think my mom would love you. And he just gives her a stare like, wow.
This was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. It's leaning on, how can I say? It's leaning on the fourth wall really hard, but I just loved the different reactions that Judy and Ralph had. Ralph is still a kid at heart, but he's still knowing. He knows how messed up this is. Like him
Even
asking
though it's a dream, supposedly, he knows something more is going on.
I think he's pretty darn sure that this story is utterly bogus. And when he gets the they left a note for you as well. Enid and Ingrid left a note for you as well. And I think he then says, like, oh, can I see it? And they say, no, and chuck it in the fire. That was brilliant. It just made me think of, what is it? Aurora Borealis. In this time, in this year, located entirely within your kitchen. Crazy. Sorry, folks. I couldn't help it. Yeah, exactly. Steamed hams. Steamed hams. I hope I'm not the only one who got steamed hams vibes. But yeah, this was the funniest bit for me, and I absolutely loved it. Just Ralph's fear of it. He's quite knowing, like, I'm lucky to get out of here alive. This place is weird. And like, Judy, we're gonna get you out of here. That was cute. That was very cute.
And then being escorted. Oh yes, we towed your car out of the mud and driving off in the antique convertible. I love that car.
It was a fancy car for Ralph. Good job, man. That looked nice. Yeah. Yeah. Fun stuff. And she got Teddy back.
And she gives it back to them. Yeah. I think he'd fit better with you.
Yeah. And it fits my reading. Because she always she needs a protector. Mm-hmm. And she's got Ralph now.
Oh yeah.
It's a through line. Yeah, so I loved it. It's a very good ending. And then we get the as you said, when you did the Guinness summary, we get the setup that a new bunch of people are arriving, which sort of explains how they have all these dolls. I guess a lot of people fail the test.
Yeah.
Perhaps a damning indictment of our current cynicism.
It rains here all the time. We have storms like this all the time. Don't worry.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, a good catch. Yes. Good stuff. They cram a lot into that 77 minutes. It makes me forgive them doing 2 minutes 36 seconds of credits. Almost.
Well, the 2 minutes of half of that 2.5 minutes is taken up by the scene of the next obnoxious couple haranguing their kids.
Yeah.
Sorry. Story.
I meant at the start.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah. Hey. Sorry. I said to waifu when I saw 77 minutes. I said like, yeah, this is I'm predicting long opening titles, and I was correct. But having said all that, the beauty of it is, I didn't feel it was padded.
No, it wasn't. Gordon's very good at that. I mean, when he has a limited budget and a decent story, he's a really good storyteller, and he's efficient. He definitely comes from the Corman school of decent story. Doesn't have to be great, but efficient in the way you make the movie. Get to the point. Make sure everything fits for the most part. And just do the best you can with limited time and limited money, and off you go.
Totally. There's so, how can I say, it could have easily been padded to get into the mid 80s, an extra argument between the stepwife and the husband. Ingrid and Enid arguing, oh, should we actually rob them? Or plotting like that. An extra scene where they try and rob Ralph. Like one of them maybe goes in to try and fake seduce him and take his wallet. Basically, any scene with two people just doing dialogue. They could have done it so easy. And they didn't, because it would have been padding. And so kudos to them for that.
Yeah. I have to say, Isabel is the worst sneak thief ever, running around with all the beaded necklaces, bracelets, clank, 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 clank. That was just, oh, I hate her.
They knew. They totally knew. They knew it was silly, and she's fooling absolutely no one. So yeah, but it did add to the horror, to the humor of it. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Well, we have come to the end of the film. So is there anything else you would like to say about it, Murgoot? Anything we missed out?
I think I just covered the last two things: the storm and the horrifically bad sneak thievery. Those were the two pieces I missed that I wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go for scores.
Let's do it.
I want to give it a good solid 8.5. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's short, it's sweet, it's efficient, and it's not so much a horror story as it is a fairy tale and a morality play. So good solid 8.5 burgers.
I can respect that. Good amount of ketchup on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much as I expected, but yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. By the way, chat, I'll be interested to see your scores. Tell you what, Murgoot, we've got a little bit of extra time. How would this film earn a couple more burgers from you? Is there something it could change to bring it up a bit?
Tone down the ham acting just a little bit. A little bit more money to the effects, but you can't fault Stuart Gordon because he was running on a very small budget. But otherwise, it's a good, decent film. It's with the premise, it wouldn't get much higher than a 9.5 or a 10 from me. But that's basically what it would take was get a bit better actors and a little bit better on special effects.
It's fair enough. You take a risk with a child actor, don't you?
Oh yeah.
She's not bad. But it's rare to get a child actor who I think you can say is really actually good. I think it's fair. I think 8.5 is very respectable.
Oh, Adam. Madonna Girl died because she was living in a material. Oh, God. That's horrible. I love it. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Let's see. Oh, we've got scores coming in. Adam loves horror. 11 as a kid. As an adult, a 6. Oh, it's really dropped. So I'm guessing some... All right. Maybe it's seeming a little janky as an adult. Gosh.
Yeah. The Enria, that's interesting. I watched a review where they said a lot of the original blood and gore scenes were cut. Well,
that's an interesting
it adds to the efficiency of the movie. I mean, it kept, with the blood and gore scenes cut, it kept it more fairy tale than gore. And I
Yeah,
think that's what they were aiming for.
yeah. I mean, it's not as harsh as Reanimator or From Beyond even. So I think it must have been done for like tone reasons, to be honest. That's an interesting one because Gordon is not shy about gore. Neither is Yuzna, in the least. We've got a scoring for a 7 out of 12. Yeah, kids hamburger, ketchup and extra. That's a fair point. That's a fair point, Patrick Batman. Thank you. I'm torn between like 8.5 and 9 because I think it's got a lot more depth than you're expecting. It's got the thing that really sells me on this is just the dolls not being evil. I really like that. I like that there's more going on with them. They're also not totally just misunderstood. They've got their own logic. I like that quite a lot. Oh, Super Nanny warnings are coming in. It's okay. We've got 4.5 minutes. We can do it, boys. We can do this. Dollface, 11 out of 12 burgers. No trimmings. Oh, sorry. I should say ketchup on mine. A nice scattering of cheese. And I think it would be Italian. So I think it would be mozzarella cheese.
And the recommendation, I would second watching Company of Wolves. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I really enjoyed it when I did.
That was a Neil Jordan, wasn't it? If I remember correctly. Dollface's score 11, no trimmings. Love the cheese morality play aspect of the music. Yes, for everyone wants something similar, fairy tale vibes, recommend Company of Wolves. Yeah, or Pan's Labyrinth as well. By the way, there's a really good review of Pan's Labyrinth on the Old Glory Club. There we go. So, yes, I think that's fair. I mean, it sounds like an absolute personal favourite, Dollface. I can totally understand it. This has got a lot going on for it. This Jordan Peterson would love this. He'd snap this up with a review. You know it. You know he would. The Enriab, 9 burgers, not cheeseburgers, obviously. First watch and enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, it's got depth to it. It's got a lot of depth that I did not think was there. And extra kudos because this was original. This wasn't adapting Lovecraft. This is original. And a night unfurls its splendor with an interesting Lon Chaney Jr. Avatar. Thank you. I think I don't recognize the name.
Wrangler in the Company of Wolves, the one about Native Americans, or is that a different film? It's different. Company of Wolves is Little Red Riding Hood with werewolves.
Yes. So Night unfurls its splendor. 10 Happy Meal burgers. Yeah, it's more kid. Extra cheese, bit of ketchup with Madam Alexander toy. All right. So positive review. I think, yeah, we're all appreciating. This is a bit deeper than we expected. Oh, thank you. Sorry, Conrad Veit. Thank you for the correction. Apologies for that one. You'll pick up. I am a bit weak on my 20s and 30s horror. Apologies. Thank you very much. Yes. Well, we got 2 minutes to go, so I'll be quick. We had a question about the shorts. We haven't started them yet, but we're doing a shorts show. It might have to be next week, but just for how other things have sorted out. But we've lined up the second and third films for December, so we might do shorts next week, but I will confirm. I will put out a post ASAP, which is probably going to be tomorrow. And we'll see about getting through them. I think we'll probably do like a tier ranking so we can cover as many as possible. But I will confirm ASAP. But if that's what we're doing, then shorts will be your horror homework. And I will let you know what we're covering. Sorry that I cannot confirm. But we've decided that December is going to be a bit of a grab bag of stuff that we just want to cover because it's a bit of fun. And December is always a bit disrupted. So that's what we're going for. So there we go. We've had scores from me. We've had scores from Murgoot. We've had your scores. We've had a fantastic recommendation that a lot more depth than I expected. And you've had a provisional notification of your horror homework that I will aim to confirm ASAP. And with that said, thank you so much, Murgoot.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure, man. And thank you, chat. You've been good fun, and you've also been very generous. It's much appreciated. With that, probably not getting out before 2.5 hours, but very shortly after, I will say, good friend of the show, Harrian, is doing a stream on Doctor Who if you want to see. So go over to Harrian's channel, Harrian Gladive, if you fancy his coverage of Doctor Who, which will probably be less positive than my review here, or I should say our review of Dolls, but should be a laugh ending your Thursday night. I'm going to leave it here. Again, thanks, Murgoot.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, chat. And I'll call it a night. Thanks, Shell. Tschüss.